R. Kelly granted an interview to GQ, and he promised that he would elaborate or talk about some of the criminal cases that he was involved in the past. Now, as you guys know, back in 2008, he was standing trial for a case involving a video that leaked. And the video allegedly featured R. Kelly urinating on an underage girl, okay? And this was during a sexual act. So he did not want to answer questions about this when he was on HuffPost Live. And I was very skeptical that he would answer questions about this with GQ. And I didn't need to be, proven wrong because he proved me right. He didn't answer any questions. Now, he spoke to Chris Heath at GQ, and let me give you some of the answers that he did provide. He was asked, let me ask you a simple question. Was that you in the video? That was the question, right? And he responded and said that because of my lawyers, to this day, I cannot have those kinds of conversations, being advised by my lawyers in this. Okay, then why are you doing the interview? If you promised to do an interview where you would actually talk about these cases, then why don't you give the answers? And if you're not willing to give the answers, then don't waste anyone's time. But it continues. He also talks about how, he was a victim of, sexual molestation from a family member of his own. And he elaborates on that a little bit, and he says that it turns into a cycle. It turns into a learned behavior, and it becomes a curse within a family. But he believes that he overcame that curse, and he didn't continue it, right? I'll give you his answers on that in a second. But he also talks about his very brief marriage to Aaliyah, which was later annulled because she was not old enough to, to consent to the marriage. She was only 15 years old. So he was asked about that and said that he was in love with her, but not the kind of love that we think of. Well, there's a lot of ways to be in love with a person. I was in love with my grandfather, But yeah, I would say I was in love with Aaliyah, just like I was in love with anybody else, but in a different friend type of way. Yeah, because, we're all into marrying our grandfathers or our friends. That kind of thing. I don't know what's going on with this dude. He's very questionable.
It was a weird interview.
It really was.
He does say, I'm like Bill Cosby. But I mean the way we used to think of Bill Cosby. But then later he seems to sympathize with him, and he goes back and forth, and it's very confusing.
The thing is, when you are likely guilty of doing illegal things, and your wealth and celebrity allowed you to dodge criminal charges or at least criminal convictions, it's really hard for you to do an interview where you defend yourself and not come off as someone who's like doing double talk. And you see what I'm saying?
It was just all over the place.
Yeah.
And his lawyers were there. It was not a no-holds-barred interview like they were saying.
Exactly.
Guys, the biggest part of this for me, the generational curse aspect, that is something directly out of an evangelical playbook where you're taught that you can overcome a generational curse. It's a mainstay of Christianity, modern Christianity. I'm wondering who's advising him on breaking generational curses.
I actually did a little research on that about a cycle from victim to victimizer.
Yeah, and that is a cycle. And I think that's what
there's actually, from a psychiatric point of view, there's very little empirical evidence on that. And from the studies I found from the British Journal of Psychiatry, it was like the conclusion was perhaps, not really definitive. I don't know if you can actually.
So this is something that I've looked into as well, because I always thought it was kind of interesting when those, like the perpetrators of sexual assault or rape, tend to also be victims of rape or sexual assault themselves. And I think that's what he was trying to touch on. I talked to a sociologist and a social worker about this, and I asked, I was like, is this common? Like when you are interviewing a client or talking to someone who's been a victim of sexual abuse, what are the dynamics of that? How does it work out? How does that manifest in the future? And a lot of times, not for all, but for a lot of people who have been molested or sexually assaulted in some way, it's not surprising when they do end up being those who assault and rape in the future. I'm not saying all of them do, but it happens. So I think that's what he was trying to talk about. So let me give you that exact quote, and then you guys can judge for yourselves. The most fascinating piece of the interview concerns R. Kelly's past history of being sexually abused. He says he was molested by a family member beginning at the age of 8, and his belief that sexual abuse is a learned behavior passed down from generation to generation. He says, well, you know, just like poverty has a generational curse in my family too, but I decided that I'm going to stop that curse. I'm not going to be broke like my mom was broke, my uncles were broke, my sisters didn't have any money, my cousins on down. Generational curse doesn't mean that the curse can't be broken. Just like having no father, that's a generational curse, which is why when my kids were born, I was Bill Cosby in the house, you know, the good one. You know, let's be clear here, how we saw Bill Cosby when we were coming up. Here's the thing, I don't think that he's very tactful when it comes to giving these interviews. I don't think that he meant, hey, I was the Bill Cosby of the house where I was cheating on my wife by raping other women on the side. I don't think that's what he was trying to say. I think he was trying to say that he had the squeaky clean image that Bill Cosby touted to have when behind the scenes he was a rapist, right? Yeah. You read the evidence of these cases, especially the 2008 case, and the writing's on the wall, right? I mean, he was very, very lucky to not get convicted in that case. And it's because he has the resources to take advantage of our two-tier justice system. But, like, please spare me these interviews where you just want to plug your work and you want to plug whatever album you're coming out with next. And you use this facade of, yeah, I'm going to talk about my personal life and I'm going to answer any question to get the interview. You're not going to answer any questions. It's not an interesting interview. I don't care about your music or your work. It's totally irrelevant to me. You're able to dodge the law based on your wealth and your celebrity, and that's really all this is about.
It's disturbing too, though, if you think of it. I mean, I've read this. My heart, I'm not a fan of R. Kelly, but I feel for him because when you think of somebody, you know, if they're a little kid, they actually experience sexual abuse. I mean, I can only imagine what he's dealing with as an adult. You really don't want him to sidestep, though. I'm totally with you. You just want him to come clean. Just say something that's true in this so we can get past your seeing you in this way. I guess that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't want to paint him as this awful guy who's a child molester, when in reality he might be really legitimately dealing with some demons.
I have no doubt that he's probably dealing with some demons, but that doesn't excuse any type of criminal behavior.
Right.